Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine, and as we move into the second week of April 2022, we've got open water fishing taking hold in southern parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, and especially Maine. We have great reports coming out of Wachusett Reservoir. We have smallmouth and trout fishing exploding throughout all of southern New England. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, I have some newsy items I got to talk about here. The first one being that the giveaway for the Floyd Roman Nike that I will make for you in whatever color you like is ongoing, and that's going to end on the 13th of this month. If you don't know how this whole thing works, it's a photo contest. You email your photos to me at danderson@thefisherman.com. And at the end of the contest, I will go through and pick out my favorite and contact them to get the color choice. And I will also give away some Yozuri products to 2 runners-up. The only stipulations are that the fish needs to be recently caught. It can't be, from that tuna trip you took last July. And it has to show you in the photo. So I don't want your shoe or your reel or a quarter to show scale. I want, the hero shot. I want you holding the fish. Of course, a selfie is fine, but, consider the fact, anyway, that I'm going to pick my favorite photo, not my favorite fish. So do your best to compose a solid shot. Another thing that we need to talk about is that Rhode Island has announced some of their regulations for the year, and that's going to be sea bass, fluke, and the most interesting one being tog. So let's go through the sea bass and fluke first. I got it written down here because I can't remember all this stuff. So in Rhode Island, they've decided that we're going to have, for fluke, it's going to be 4 fish at 18 inches. Greg from Risa was telling me that they fought to get 1 smaller fish included just to make it possible to target a male because we're taking all females with the current regulations. That got shot down, but it's 4 fish at 18 inches. And the season is unchanged. It's going to be the same season that we had last year. Sea bass is going to open on May 22nd, and that early season is going to be 2 fish at 16 inches. And then it's going to go up to 3 fish in September. Party and charter boats are going to have their own regulations. In the beginning of the season, sounds like it's going to be the same as the rec, but in the fall they're going to be able to do 6 at 16 inches. And now the most interesting part is the changes to the blackfish fishery. If you remember a few weeks back, we had Greg from Risa on here, and he was describing the proposal that passed, preliminarily passed before the Rhode Island Board. Well, they went to work on that this week, and they kept half of it, and they cut the other half. So Risa was hoping to see a bag limit reduction from 5 fish to 4 fish in the fall. That got cut. Still going to be able to keep 5 fish in the fall. The seasons and bag limits across the board are going to stay the same as what we've seen over the last few years. But the big change is that in sort of an unprecedented move, Rhode Island took a voluntary hit when it comes to trophy class fish. And this is something that I don't think we've ever seen before. A state doing this under their own volition. So now you're going to be able to keep a full limit of fish between 16 and 20 inches, but you can only keep 1 fish as part of that limit that's over 21 inches. I think this is a great move. I'm sure there's some people out there who don't love it. But when you think about it, and depending on who you ask, these fish take somewhere between 15 and 20 years to achieve that trophy slot size. And, a fish that survives that long is a big, mean fish with good survival instincts and a robust spawner. And, we want to keep those fish in the fishery. You may not know that blackfish actually spawn in 2 different ways. So the smaller fish, they kind of do like a community spawn. They'll all kind of get together and, sort of broadcast spawn. But the bigger fish tend to seek each other out. And so now you're getting, the very best genes in the fishery are coming together. And the more of that size fish, the more of those 8 to, 20-pound fish that we have in the fishery, the greater the chances of those genetically unique individuals coming together and creating more of these fast-growing, hard-fighting survivor fish. So that's why I think it's a great thing, and I'm hoping that the example is set and maybe some other states will follow suit. And it's wise for Rhode Island to do this. I mean, Rhode Island, you could make the argument that Rhode Island has the best black fishing in the world. And even if it doesn't, it definitely has the best black fishing terrain in the world, and known for producing many big fish. And with the popularity of this fishery exploding, I can see nothing but good coming from this move. And then lastly, it's tournament time again, and the Fisherman has 2 tournaments that we put out there under our umbrella. We have the Dreamboat, which has been going on for years, and this year we're giving away a Steiger Craft Miami in the Dreamboat, and any subscriber is automatically eligible. All you have to do is catch a fish and bring it to an official weigh station. The other tournament is the Coastal Kayak Clash, or the CKC, as we call it here at the Fisherman. And if you're not familiar with the CKC, what it is, it's a subscriber-only, season-long, multi-species kayak fishing tournament where anglers compete in 8 species categories to accumulate enough points to hopefully win the whole thing by the end of the tournament in November. Just like the Dreamboat, it runs from May 1st to November 30th, and it's a wildly competitive event. One of the most exciting things about this year is that we've taken sea robin off the list of eligible species, and we've added striped bass. Could be a controversial move, but let me tell you why I don't see it that way. In no other style of fishing is releasing a fish easier than on a kayak. I mean, think about it. You're going to catch a striper, right? I'm sitting in my kayak right now. You're going to catch a striper, you're going to pull it up, right? You're going to lay it out, you're going to get your measuring tape or your ruler or whatever set. You're going to take a picture, beep, and then what are you going to do? You lift one leg and the fish falls in the water, right? You should be able to pull that off in 20 seconds. And even easier, if you have one of those sticker rulers on the side, you can just pull it right up against the side of the yak, shoot the pick, and she goes on her way, and you're going back to fishing. I think it's going to make it even more exciting, even more competitive than it was last year, and I think we're going to see a new segment of anglers joining the event, which is only going to make it bigger and better, and I'm excited about it. Giving away awesome prizes this year. We have a Hobie Mirage Outback Kayak for first place. We have a Helix 9 Chirp fish finder from Humminbird. We have reels from Penn and rods from Fenwick and gift certificates from yakattack.com and several other prizes. I think there are 15 different ways to take a prize out of this thing. So if you're not a subscriber, go over, spend your $29.95. Think of it as your entry fee. Sign up for a year, then go over to the website, click on the tournament tab, go into this Coastal Kayak Clash and register. And once you're registered, you're eligible. We'll release the tag the night of the tournament, the night of the beginning of the tournament, and then from there, it takes a lot of dedication to win a tournament like this. And you're going to be fishing against some of the best multi-species anglers in the region. So, in addition to these thousands of dollars worth of prizes, you're also going to take home a boatload of bragging rights if you can pull this off. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you guys catch this year, and I'll be excited to see you on the list. So now let's move in and focus on the fishing. And the first thing that I want to talk about is in the North Country, up in Maine and New Hampshire, especially the southern reaches of those states, Vermont too. The ice is gone, open water fishing has resumed. You may remember an article in the March edition by Jesse Hall, Maine swim bait guy who pretty much dedicates his life to swim bait fishing in the lakes of Maine. And he's back in the game. Posted some pictures this week of some decent sized fish in the 3 to 4 pound range, and then I think it was probably Tuesday, he landed this beauty, a 6 pounder, taken on a big swim bait, and it's just sort of an illustration of what's going on and what's possible up there. Most people don't think swim bait when they think Maine, but Maine has a lot of big bass, and this guy Jesse, he proves it time and time again. If you're on Instagram, look him up. Swim Bait Stud is his handle, and you'll be convinced pretty quickly. As we move down into Massachusetts, you're going to one of the things that we're hearing the most is that Wachusett Reservoir is popping off. So it opened up on April 1st. We've had a week of that, and from what I've been hearing, from the lake trout point of view, it's just been awesome. Wachusett used to be my stomping grounds. I grew up in Central Mass, and I basically treated Wachusett as my ocean. Whenever I had more than a couple hours, I would, especially once I had my license, I'd hop in the car, drive out there. I used to work second shift at BJ's Wholesale Club. I didn't have to be until 1:30, so I'd get up early and fish Wachusett until I barely had enough time to get back to my house, take a shower, and go to work. So I spent a lot of time there. And these early months, these early weeks, I should say, of the season are some of the best of the year. Great time to contact some really big lake trout. Plenty of rainbow trout in there, and also phenomenal smallmouth bass fishing. The great smallmouth bass fishing has definitely not been confined to to Wachusett Reservoir. It's spilling out all over the place. We're hearing great catches from the Cape. We're hearing great catches from many ponds in the interior parts of Massachusetts. Probably the most popular is Mashpee Wakeby out on the Cape, and that place has awakened. We're hearing great catches out there. While we're on the subject of Wachusett and these fisheries, let's throw it over to Roy Leva and hear what he's been finding out this week.
Hey Dave, how you doing? Another report. Sorry I missed you last week. It has been phenomenal fishing. I mean, anything you want to do out here in central and western Mass. Trout, pike, walleye, channel cats. Shad should be showing up any day now, as well as striped bass up in the Connecticut River. It's just phenomenal fishing. We did a little trout fishing today for stockies, and probably ended the day with maybe 30, 40 between the two of us.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it was a good day. Stocking trucks are rolling pretty good. They've been putting some really big fish in. The rainbows are gorgeous size, the browns, brookies, you name it. But the game in town has been Lakers. Wachusett Reservoir obviously opened up this past weekend, and it was on fire. I went out just throwing metal and got 5 Lakers and a bunch of stocked rainbows. But other than that, fishing's been just great. I really don't know what else to say, but phenomenal. You just got to get out there and go try. So yeah, it's time to get off the couch. Winter's over, spring is here, and the fishing's great. Catch you guys next week. Thanks.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate the video. Glad to have you back on the job here, and we'll look forward to your video next week. I also got a video from longtime contributor Dave Bogax. He's got something to tell us here, so let's throw it over to Dave.
Woo, doggy. Look what we got here, Anderson. Thank you, Dave Anderson. Coming at you from Massachusetts. We'll put it that way. I know I talked to you at the saltwater show. You want all my secret spots, you can have it today. It's no secret. Spring trout stocking is in full swing. We all pay our fee for our license, and it's no secret about these fish, Dave. So I'll give you my secret spot today. It's Massachusetts. I got my limit. That's my 3rd fish for the day. Gonna smoke them. Gonna smoke that fool. Smoke all 3 of them. I soak it in soy sauce for 3 days, smoke it up. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and get 3 more. I don't know. You don't know, Dave. You just don't know. Anyway, what works for me is I'm trolling in the kayak. I got a Thomas Boink going on. The name of the game is What Color Works. Today, lights out with the gunmetal gray. Get a load of this. That's the one. My buddy Eric told me about this one years ago. Absolutely hammers it. Look at the sky, Dave. Overcast sky. I said today's gonna be a good day. I hope it starts raining. There's no rain, but it was glass calm when I got here. There's a little bit of wind now, mixing it up on the water. The other brown trout, Thomas Boyne, fell flat. I was about to switch to Rapala, and I said, you know what? It's about the wind. The wind is blowing them this way. I just knew it. So I stopped trolling, took 2 casts at the shore, and I was on. And sometimes that's what you got to do. It's a puzzle, Dave. It's a puzzle, and you just got to figure it out. So that's what I'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. Trout fishing as much as possible. Smoke them up, stock that freezer, vacuum seal them, and that's what's up. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Much appreciated. And we'll look forward to more videos from you in the future. I don't have any saltwater news this week from Massachusetts. I am expecting to start hearing about schoolie stripers, I'd say sometime in the next 10 to 12 days. Water temps are still pretty cold, but it's pretty hard to stop Mother Nature, and those fish are definitely on the way. And that's the story that I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. As we move over into Rhode Island, there's been a change in the cod fishing. It has definitely taken a step in the right direction. Hearing about a lot more reliable fishing out there, hearing about a greater numbers on a greater number of spots, which is really it's a harbinger of things to come. Now this fishery is starting to come together finally. It's becoming more of a worthy endeavor for the head boats that are heading out there, and they're making more trips. And as long as we have the weather, which has definitely been not always easy to come by, but as long as we have the weather, they're heading out there, and the fishing has gotten a lot better. Black fishing is now open in Rhode Island, and I haven't heard of a blackfish being caught yet, other than some really small ones around the west wall. Still got some time before the water warms up to tog temp, but rest assured, by the end of the month, some fish will be taken, and there'll be some good ones. The holdover striper fishery hasn't changed. Still slower than what we typically expect at this time of the year. But the herring are in the runs. We're going to start seeing more fish. And soon we're going to have some fresh fish joining them. And from there, that striper fishery is just going to blossom and explode. Don't forget, trout fishing is still closed until this weekend, until the 9th of April. So you got to hold your fire until then. Opening day is a big momentous deal. You're going to see a lot of guys out fishing. If you want to kind of get a leg up on getting more fish in, getting more stocked trout, you can read my article in the April edition called Beating the Stock Market. You can also read my hotspot story, which gives some of the favorite spots of local tackle shops on where to go to catch trout. And that's the story that I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Over in Connecticut, blackfish season is open as well. Haven't heard of a fish caught yet. Again, just like Rhode Island, you're going to have to wait until toward the end of the month before that really starts to happen. But it's there, it's an option, and I have seen some of the shops like Fishing Factory 3, for example, that has crabs in stock if you want to go and try to be the first one. I haven't heard of any fresh stripers in the Sound, but there are plenty of holdover fish biting in the Thames, Connecticut, and Housatonic rivers, and many other rivers in between. Lots of schoolie fish being taken, but I've heard of good numbers of nice-sized fish in some of these places, especially as more herring are being introduced into the fishery. These bigger fish tend to become easier to locate because they're going to go where the food is, and the food's going to the herring run, so guess who's going there too? And if you want to catch one, you got to go to a herring run as well. So that's one thing. The pike fishing seemed to slow down a little bit this week. I think we're right in the middle of the spawn. That will fire up again toward the end of the month for a little bit as these post-spawn fish come out and they're famished from doing what they did up there. So that's an option. But probably the best fishing on the Connecticut River right now is for panfish, be it calico, yellow perch, or white perch. You can fish all the coves like Chapman Pond, Weathersfield Cove, Hamburg Cove. You're going to do great in those areas. You can fish the marinas. Those are also great places to target for these panfish. And basically, you're going to be throwing really small soft plastics. You might throw like little 2-inch countdown swimming plugs. You might throw live bait. But regardless of how you do it, you've got a really good chance of finding big piles of fish at this time of the year. They're all kind of piling up before they start to spawn. And you know how really any pre-spawn fishery tends to be on fire because these fish are trying to build up energy before they have to go and do the deed. And so it's a great time to target these fish. Outside the Connecticut River, trout fishing has been phenomenal. I think it was a great move by the state to just open up the season and let people fish whenever and wherever they want. And the stocking trucks are still rolling and rolling. And at this point, it doesn't even matter where you go. As long as you know that place has been stocked, you got a really high probability of catching fish. And by all accounts, it's been a phenomenal winter and early spring for trout in Connecticut, and I see no reason why that shouldn't continue. All right, now let's throw it over to Max from Fisherman's World and hear what's happening out in the western end of the state.
They did a fantastic job stocking our local rivers with trout. The Nauk River is holding a lot of action and a lot of nice fish. We've seen fish to like the 4 or 5 pound range this past week. And the Far Mill River, the Mianus, and the Saugatuck were also stocked. The fly fishing only zone in the Saugatuck is holding some nice fish, and Georgetown area and Wilton area on the Nauk River. If you want to fish the Far Mill River and the Mill River, I would concentrate in the TMA sections in Fairfield and then the upper reaches. The Housatonic is really holding some stripers down in the mouth now. These are mostly schoolies with some slots mixed in. Perfect time for the guys on the fly rod. Upriver is still a concentration of the bigger fish, and as the herrings start moving in heavier and heavier, we should only see this get really good. Try throwing stuff like SP minnows, Colt snipers, mag darters, Dannies. All at nighttime will yield some big fish and in the early morning. Look for this moon coming up to bring some herring way upriver, places like Sullivan's Island and all the way up to the dam. I would try fishing at night on the higher tides that time of year, and in the early morning try to catch a big fish. Thanks, good luck.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate the video, and look forward to more from you, hopefully next week. And that's what I've got for you guys this week. Hopefully these reports are helping you out. Remember, you can always send me photos, whether it's to enter the tournament, or not tournament, but enter the contest, or just to show off, or just to give me an idea of what's going on. Love to get photos. I can use them in so many different ways, whether it's on the video, in the magazine, or even on the cover. So send me your best photos to danderson@thefisherman.com. And, if you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to the website and check it out. In addition to what we talked about earlier, the Coastal Kayak Clash and the Dreamboat Contest, you get access to all 3 editions, so you can see what's going on in the Mid-Atlantic and Long Island. We cover a wide range of fisheries, so whether it be freshwater, whether it be saltwater, inshore, offshore, fly fishing, micro fishing, swim baiting, all of this stuff is covered. We have reports that cover all of that and all those types of fisheries. And, for $29.95, you really can't go wrong. You're getting 12 issues sent to your door, and then you're getting, I think it's close to 20, maybe even more than 20 digital issues sent to your email box. Not to mention our e-newsletters, which come out twice a week. The amount of information is staggering. So head on over there and check it out. At the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube. Hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. That's what I have for you guys. Hope you guys are getting out there, catching some fish, and we'll see you guys next week.